All right, thank you, Martin. Hello everyone. My name is Ilari Rautanen. I'm working for City of Tampere and also Eco Fellows Limited. That's the local energy agency here in Tampere. I'll switch my camera off. So I had some problems with my internet connection.
And are you seeing your screen? Because now you do.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
So I hope it's working now.
Yes, we can see it perfectly. Thanks.
Okay, good, and I hope the connection stays up. So I was asked to tell something about the energy cooperation we are doing with our housing companies here in our city, and especially how we do the energy expert training for housing companies in Tampere region. Energy expert training we have been given already about 20 years here, more or less. There were some shorter periods between that were a little bit more quieter, but now it's back on business. At least 7 years in a row. Anyway, but the City of Tampere is giving quite a lot of support for housing companies at the moment, and especially they are densifying the city structure, so they like to housing companies do complementary construction on their plots, and it's also a nice way to little bit make the house more energy efficient in the same time when you are renovating, perhaps building new stories. About, for example, building 2 more stories on top of the building, you can build lifts and make some other energy renovation at the same time. And usually that means you have to little bit change the master plan of the plot, and City of Tampere is giving quite a lot of help with that, and usually organizing several workshops how to do it. And usually it's also quite expensive for the city to do the master plan alterations. It takes a lot of task force from the City of Tampere. So city is collecting some money from the housing company who owns the plot, and to get some money back from the work city has to do for it. So, but City of Tampere is giving in some cases almost 85% discounts from the fees they are collecting from the plot owners if energy efficiency is increased and so on. There are about 8 different ways to get those discounts all in all. And also many other departments are giving counseling and support for housing company. For example, building surveillance departments and other departments that are concerning somehow construction business. Our local energy companies also giving advice services for the housing companies, and the City of Tampere is also giving special energy counseling service that's named RANE in our city, and energy expert training is done under that service also. And many projects in different areas are also helping housing companies. For example, EU Google did that, and Stardust is doing at the moment, and Area 21 and Care is quite new project at the moment, and it's giving training for building managers how to do energy efficient renovations better way, and in many other things that are concerning housing companies. Anyway, at the moment we have done new website that's more like one-stop shop way to do it, how you should first check up how your housing company is doing and what kind of renovations you should do. Then it's helping to get subsidies to do the renovation. There are quite many ways of to get subsidies at the moment from the government level, then it's helping get the finance and other from the banks, and also there's that energy expert part where you can learn what are the best ways to do the renovations and improve your energy efficiency in the housing company. So the CARE project is training building managers, especially on energy issues, but also some other aspects like how you do more and better social parts of your work when you are building manager and so on. And this new quick and affordable energy check service of the building is one new thing. It's going to cost about 1,000 euros for housing company, and we are doing that with 3 different counseling companies at the moment that are giving advice services for the housing companies. And then there are those subsidies. They are usually national level from the government, especially for the changing of the oil heating and how you build electric car charging systems and more general energy improvements and renovation subsidies. And also if you are planning to build a lift for your older building that doesn't have a lift at the moment yet. But anyway, Finnish housing companies probably work a little bit different way than in many other countries. Usually the housing company owns the building itself and the plot under it. The plot can be also rented from the city, but in quite many cases the plot belongs to the housing company. The residents are mostly shareholders, and they form the housing company. So the housing company works quite the same way than other companies. So the ownership is divided in shares, and people own different amounts of share. Usually it's the flat size is deciding how many shares you are owning from the company. And when you own the shares, you own the flat, and you can also rent the flat in the open markets as a private person. Then there's an annual meeting of the housing company at least once a year. Some housing companies have 2 annual meetings, and the annual meeting is deciding the persons for the board of the housing company. Usually 3 to 5 persons, people that are in the board, and one of them will be the chairman. And usually the chairman is also the person who is attending our energy expert courses. Or that's a quite typical situation. Then there's also a building manager. That's usually a service bought outside from the housing company. So it's a professional person. Usually he's doing the finance checking and more like that, paying bills and so on. So he's a little bit like the CEO of the company. So flat owners, they have the individual control of the flat, but they have also the common control of everything else that is done inside the housing company. And the people who are living in the housing company are deciding everything, and also what kind of renovations should be done and in which order. So what is an energy expert then? So it's a volunteer resident in housing company who is trained to be more active in energy issues, and quite often the person is the board of the housing company chairman, because he's usually also the most eager person to do all kinds of stuff. The energy expert training is usually lasting 15 hours, but this year we have been doing those trainings online on Teams, so they have been a little bit shorter because 15 hours courses are a little bit too long to stay at the laptop, and especially quite often those people are a little bit older people, so they don't like to use computers that much. So we are teaching them maintenance and also giving them advice how to get low energy service providers and what kind of companies there are available. So these companies are very strongly involved in the course implementation, and they are giving lectures of the system possibilities. For example, solar panels or heat pump systems. And we are also creating peer-to-peer experience changing for these people who are attending our courses face-to-face if it's possible, but we have also Facebook groups where they can discuss and share their ideas and questions with each other. And also some building managers have attended our courses during the years, and we have about 250 more or less active energy experts in Tampere region at the moment, but all in all we have trained now about 350 people during these 20 years, but some of them are a little bit old already, so they are not working actively anymore. Stakeholders that are also involved in our energy expert things are the local Finnish Real Estate Federation of Tampere region, and also building managers have their own federation and organizations that are strongly involved in the course implementations, and they are giving very useful help to advertise our courses and other events we are organizing. And also our city have a club of the chairmen of boards of housing companies. There are a couple of very eager and interested persons who are running these clubs at the moment, and we are giving them help also to organize events about 4 or 5 PCs during the year. And also these low carbon service providers, these companies are strongly involved in our courses, and they are important stakeholders. They are also giving advertising help for our events. So what the city of the Tampere is getting from this energy expert training, so of course the energy consumption is getting lower in our housing companies that are in Tampere region, and the renewable energy sources production is getting higher when housing companies are getting solar electric panels on the roofs of their buildings. And these courses have been also a very efficient way to promote city strategies and politics. So when large groups of people are gathered together, so it's a nice way also to give some info how cities getting forward and what kind of ideas and strategies we have at the moment. So for example, the plans of becoming carbon neutral and so on. And also tax income is quite important role when housing companies doing any kinds of renovations. They are buying services, and that improves also tax income for the city, and it creates new jobs for the area. And it's also a good way to have an open discussion and a feedback channel also for the city, how city is doing things, and if there's something housing companies would like to give feedback and ask things. So what are the advantages for the housing companies then? Of course, these low carbon renovations and getting more renewable energy sources means using less energy, and that means less costs for the residents who are living in the housing company. And also, when you are doing your renovations on time and in a good way, the value of the property increases. So the building usually looks much more nicer, and so it's usually also easy to sell the flat if you are going to sell it when the building looks very nice from the outside and all things are in order. And also when the living costs in the flat are really low, it's easy to sell. And also when you're doing those renovations, the living gets better, living conditions and all the things inside the housing company works better. And usually also the energy expert is helping the social aspects inside the housing company, giving the conversation going and so on. So one question that was given to me beforehand was what are the reasons why people are attending our courses and how we are getting people to attend these energy expert courses. And so I was thinking those parts also. One important reason is the Finnish law of the housing companies. There are some legal responsibilities of the persons who are attending to the boards of the housing companies. So you have to do things in the right way, and especially when you think about the financial part, you have to do the things in the right way. And once a year, the general meeting will give you the indemnity of the financial responsibilities if you are done things right. So if you do any harm for the housing company and make the housing company lose money or any other problems, you may get some legal problems if you do it in a bad way. So energy expert training is one way to show that you are taking things seriously and you are doing a good job, and at least you know how you should be acting. Of course, sometimes problems and small mistakes can happen, but at least you can show that you are trying to do your best in this thing. Also, one reason to attend is cutting the costs of living when you do the renovations. And so if you're doing renovations for the whole housing company, of course, your own flat is getting lower costs also. And it's also getting better living conditions that come along in these renovations. And one important aspect is the social part. Quite many people that have been attending our courses are older people, so they don't have that many, they are not in the working life anymore. So some people are very lonely and living by themselves. And Finnish society is quite different when you compare it for the Southern Europe, for example. We don't like to be interacting with our neighbors all the time, and we are just staying inside our flats by ourselves. So it's one way to getting new friends and something interesting hobbies and things to do in your life when you are attending to energy expert training and to the face-to-face meetings and so on. Some younger people are attending because they are getting marks to their CVs, and it's also a way to show the position of responsibility they are doing. If you are a member of the board of the housing company, you can add it to the CV that you are doing something for your society. And And one most important reason is usually when a housing company is planning a renovation, some of the residents are attending to the energy expert course because it's perhaps the easiest way to get some basic information for things should be considered alongside the renovation and what are the possibilities to cut some energy consumption and making things a little bit better in the same time if you are doing some renovations. So in most often cases, it's wise to do many renovations at the same time. So it's good to plan them properly. But I think that was my part this time. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Ilari, for this presentation. It was very interesting. And yes, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I have a question. Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it, Michael.
May I have one question? Do you think it is possible for the lower cities to have one of these trainings in English? Because Finnish language, sorry for that, is too hard to learn on shorter.
Yeah. This far, we haven't given these energy expert trainings in English, but of course, more and more people are moving abroad to Finland, and we have people who would like to have the trainings also in English. So perhaps we could have some kind of online training, and also other people from abroad could attend them. But let's see.
I think it is not necessary to translate all the presentations from Finnish to English. However, I think it would be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I assume that the follower cities are interested in getting a kind of, let's say, online presentation, and that would also cover our work package 5 activities about peer-to-peer knowledge exchange. What do you think, Martin?
Yes, I think this could be indeed interesting, if possible, of course. But yeah, this could be interesting for the follower cities to see how this is done. So if there's any possibility to this in English and online, of course, I'm sure this would be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking if we do this, do you have some kind of timetable? What is when this should be done, or because plans for the next 6 months are soon quite a bit already. So
yeah, I guess a date in March or April would be fine.
All right. Yeah.
If I may, I was thinking that the first and more peculiar thing I noticed is this, that Ilari also mentioned that it's very Finnish by itself. It's the housing company. I mean, in practical terms, we have the same let's say, features, like the owner of a flat owns the flat and a part of the plot as well. However, the fact that you have a housing company already changes everything. And I mean, it's a very nice legal arrangement, but we don't have it. Yes, we have a kind of, how you call it, building manager in a way, but that doesn't have so much legal commitment. However, we might try to work with them, at least in Greece. I don't know about the other countries.
Yeah, I think the Finnish housing company system is a little bit different than in other countries, because quite many countries have some kind of associations, and that's a little bit different kind of legal form for the system. So as a when it's a company form, you can get loans from the bank, and it's considered a little bit different way in legal wise, I think.
Yes, that makes a big difference actually for the loans, as you said. Otherwise, you have to go one by one and negotiate individually to the bank, and usually this is not very good for the owners. It's very good for the bank. But I see also some cultural difference there because obviously, I mean, in my mind, Finnish people tend to cooperate easier than I would put it in the south, to be more to be more generic, at least not in Greece. To give you an example, we are constantly fighting in the building where I'm living now, constantly fighting the last 3 or 4 months to pay the building outside. It's a very simple thing. It doesn't cost that much, but there is a huge fight, and we can't end up with agreeing anything, to say the least. I mean, if we're talking about renovation, then it's going much deeper and much more expensive. So, but anyway, thank you very much. It was very interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, indeed, it was very interesting. Thank you, Larry. I don't know if there are any other questions or remarks.
Yes, I think even if we have a totally different structure, for instance, in Austria, with big real estate companies and things like that, that are, how to say, in charge of all the renovation and refurbishment issues. But nevertheless, they might be interested in how to say, how to integrate knowledge towards apartment users that feel responsible, let's say. I mean, I only say that. I don't know whether it is the case, but I know that it is, yeah, up to a certain extent, something that is of interest. And in addition, of course, you were talking about old generation mainly. It might be good also to learn from your experience about how to incorporate the young generation, let's say, because up to now it is and really a difficult field. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, I guess there are no further questions. Maybe before we go to the last presentation from Robert.